All right, guys. So today I'm gonna go over several news, mainly, of course, about Trump. First thing first, from the Courthouse News Service, July 14, 2025, Supreme Court lets Trump take sledgehammer to Education Department for now, meaning that he's basically dismantling the U.S. Department of Education from the inside. So firing a lot of people, making it difficult to distribute the funding to schools that really need it, especially in the rural areas of states, even more so in the rural red states. They're really suffering the most. And that makes it also harder once it comes to PSLF, Private Service Loan Forgiveness Program, making sure that's being done in a proper manner. Remember that Biden enhanced the processing of PSLF. That's what a lot of people who've been waiting for years finally got forgiven. They've been paying for more than 10 years. It's supposed to only been 10. And Trump's going to do the same thing that Republicans did. He's going to slow it down, make it very difficult, and get rid of a lot of staff. And these staff are going to be hard to replace. If you think, oh, we can just replace them later, you're not going to be able to. It's a lot of inside knowledge that it's not going to be simple just to hire someone and train them. It's not going to be that simple. You can't just contract these people and call it a day. It's going to be hard. Subcontracts are not going to be enough for this. AI is not going to replace anyone. It's going to be really bad, which is the whole point. Because since Reagan, uh, the Republicans have been trying to get rid of the Department of Education. So this is a win for them. And people who support Trump, they vote for this. I think this is great news, but they don't realize that it's gonna actually screw them the most. Blue states are gonna be ones that are gonna be the safest. People can afford easier private schools in blue states than in red states. A lot of the colleges in blue states and private schools are gonna be funded in-house. Red states don't are not gonna be able to get that, so they're gonna suffer heavily. Which again, Republicans love that because they want an uneducated populace. They don't want educated voters. So the more uneducated voters they have, the more likely that people vote for Republican. It's all part of the plan. Anyone who doesn't understand that are usually people who again are uneducated how politics works in the U.S. Unfortunately, the Supreme Court on Monday, this is back in more mid-July, granted President Donald Trump's bid to help pay for 1,400 education department employees, while his administration pushes forward with plans to dismantle the NC amid a legal shutdown with Democrat states. Technically, the U.S. Department of Education was created by Congress, so Trump knows he cannot just get rid of it via executive vote completely, but he can still fire people and make it completely useless, which is the whole goal. In a plain 6-3 decision, the High Court decided with Trump, so keep that in mind. The courts have been siding with him a lot in this decision, so it's very much difficult thing to be able to do. It is what it is for now. Next thing I want to talk about is how Texas government says his emails with Elon Musk are too intimate or embarrassing to release. So if you know anything about Governor Greg Abbott, he's a Republican governor of Texas. Not a great guy. Complete hypocrite because he doesn't want people to get disability benefits and all things, even though he's disabled himself. It's all these politicians are such hypocrites. And the irony is that it's okay for them to get the benefits, but not anyone else. And if you don't see the irony. So this article is from July 14, 2025, from TheVerge.com. So there's been a lot of emails communication back from Greg Abbott and Elon Musk. We already know that part of it, or at least we can guess that part of it is probably him giving tax breaks to Musk, to Tesla, uh, facilities, etc., to help out Musk. And he doesn't want people to know what he's been talking about because Musk has a lot of companies. Tesla's not the only one. And considering the whole green energy is going downhill, which impacts Musk a lot. This is a guy who has electric vehicle, who owns the electric vehicle company Tesla, who owns SpaceX. He has a lot of things that you need renewable energy to keep the business going. And it was until Republicans took over. Then when Obama and Biden took over, kind of fixed those things, and then Trump again reversed it. That's why it's the irony when you have someone like Musk going after Trump so hard. I mean, supporting Trump so hard. Now he's going after Trump hard, but it's too late. It's like, yeah, if you just do the right thing, you're not gonna get in trouble, right? He wants to get rid of the investigations that were being conducted on his companies and himself. He did that with Doge. He achieved his goal. Did he ruin his reputation to a certain extent? Yes, but he also wasted $44 billion on Twitter. I will argue that alone made him look like a moron and probably lost support already. People voting for Trump are going to always vote for Trump. They're always going to vote for whatever has an R next to the name. They might question it a little bit if it's not Trump, but if Trump said vote for them or someone else they in his administration, they will normally just do it. They don't think twice about it. Unlike Democrats who are more careful of who to choose with the D next to the name. It just was being shown many, many times over. And Democrats are not going to just cover the ass of pedophile Democratic politicians. We want them to be arrested, right? I'm more of a Democrat socialist, not exactly just a right Democrat, but still, in general, I think people who vote for Democrat want people to be held accountable for their actions, regardless if they're part of the same Democratic Party. It shouldn't matter. Just because someone's part of the Republican Party should mean support pedophiles. People should really not do that. And the very fact that people don't care is a pretty scary situation. So that's basically it for this. He just refuses to really allow anyone to read his embarrassing emails. We know what he really means. He can read between the lines. He doesn't want people to know that he's been doing illegal stuff for Musk. And Texas has done a lot of illegal gerrymandering. They're going to go even more hardcore to potentially help 5 more Republican seats become reality for midterm elections of 2026. So keep that in mind. I'll talk about that later. So another article for AP News, more than 20 states sue Trump administration over frozen after school and summer funding. That's from July 14, 2025. What does that matter? Because a lot of those after school and summer funding are really important. Those after school programs help working parents who cannot see the kids until 5, 6 p.m. So having a program that can go on to 5, 6 p.m., so beyond the regular school hours, really helps a lot of working parents who cannot afford daycare. And then the summer program is also nice. It has something that kids can do during the summer without costing parents any money. Some public schools where I live have that type of program where people can put the kids in the summer program without paying for it because you already pay through taxes. Or they already get paid through federal government funding, which again, we all pay as taxpayers regardless. So we all contribute something positive. So freezing those type of funding is actually negative for a lot of these schools. And the ones that are going to be affected the most because they cannot make up the difference is going to be the poor areas of states where where the schools don't have as much funding, especially red states where they don't really have the money to fund public schooling. And make everything privatized is not going to help. It's just going to make people not be able to attend much schooling at all. Or they're going to go to poorly funding public schools, like poorly funded high schools, and not get the education needed while they also think about what they can eat and drink throughout the day because their parents can afford it. It's going to be a really bad situation where a lot of people are going to be even more uneducated for the next 4, 5 plus years. It's a big issue. People are not taking it seriously, and that's why we had so many people didn't vote in the 24 election. It is what it is. So some of the withheld money funds after school and summer programming at boys and girls clubs, the YMCA, or public schools is attended by 1.4 million children and teenagers nationwide. Congress set aside money for the programs to provide academic support, enrichment, and childcare to mostly low-income families, aka working families. A lot of these people are working class at best. They need these programs. But Trump's administration recently froze the funding, saying he wants to ensure a program aligned with the Republican president's priorities. In other words, he's going to look at any BS reason. Oh, this is DI because it supports black people. Even though if it supports white people, he's going to be okay with that. It's an issue that Trump's going to be looking at to create a problem when there isn't one. And he wants to make sure these people who are getting funded, schools that are getting funded, are not saying anything against him. This is all very illegal. This is all against First Amendment rights. So keep in mind, this is not constitutionally protected what Trump is doing. However, the Supreme Court and Republicans in Congress have been allowing him to do whatever the hell he wants. So even though this is illegal, what he's doing, holding on funding is like blackmailing the states and public schools. It's illegal, but nothing's being done to stop him. So instead of the Democrats always pointing fingers and saying we're gonna do this, just do it. I don't understand the whole. It's not that I don't understand what they're doing, but a lot of Democrats are cowards and they only care about money from donors, from the big farm and all that. But it's annoying seeing them pointing out fingers. Just freaking do it. Don't mention that you're gonna do it. Don't tell them date you're gonna do it. Just do it. Democrats can do still a lot more than people realize in Congress, even though they have the minority. They don't have the numbers to really fully stop Trump. They can do so much more. There's much more they can do to make things a pain in the ass for Republicans in Congress, especially in the House, where the numbers are only, I think they're only different 7 seats right now around there. So if people just think twice and like, hey, you know what? Let me try really hard to make things very difficult and not make it so easy for Republicans. And when they don't want to do something, they want to just, okay, we come back talking in a couple months. talk about that for those couple months, how they refuse uh, to try to reinstate the Epstein files, to force the release of it unredacted. They can talk about that 24/7. You remind the public once a day. It's not hard to do, and yet they don't. Ruling Republican-led areas especially affected. It's something I already mentioned multiple times in this video and other videos. When you hold funding for anything, especially school funding, rural areas, and especially the rural areas in the Republican-led states and cities, counties, they're gonna suffer the most. They're the ones that already cut down a lot of things. Texas have refused multiple important money from the federal government during disasters because the federal government was controlled by Democrats during those points. So the things that Biden tried to help Texas with and all the rest states, and they're like, no, we don't need those $40 million, and people were just suffering, dying because they didn't want to give a win, what appears a win, to Democrats. Even that means having tons of the people suffer and die. And yet, people still vote Republican. That alone should be enough for people to change their minds and never vote Republican again. And they still keep voting Republican. They still vote for Ted Cruz, Greg Abbott, and everyone else has an next to name. Even though they did horrible things to the states, residents, and don't do anything to really improve their lives. Very sad. So I just want to show this so people have an idea what Republicans have been doing, especially Trump administration, but also how a lot of these Republican controlled governors and state legislatures are not doing anything to help the people. So if people don't care, don't bitch and whine when you're not getting funding. Like why I can't afford to go to college I used to. Why we not this public school has gone downhill so much. You pretty much know. You just don't want to admit that you made mistakes. This is from ABC News, July 15, 2025. Millions of undocumented immigrants will no longer be eligible for bond hearings, according to ICE memo. I think that's incredibly wrong. Bond hearings are important. This is when you can give a chance for people who are detained and arrested to be able to prove the case that they might be documented or that they were unfairly treated, or at least have a lawyer explain how they were maybe walking towards that legal process. Maybe they were doing the right things at one point. Who knows? Maybe they were a refugee, not completely just undocumented, right? Refugees shouldn't be considered as undocumented immigrants. So bond hearings will give that chance, but not allowing people to have a bond hearing, that becomes an issue, and that could make it harder for people in detention centers to get their voice heard. So keep that in mind. This is not really fair to a lot of immigrants, especially undocumented immigrants. So this one, July 14, 2025, from Bill Remote website. Starbucks issue fourth return to offer mandate requires 4 days in office. I know a lot of people are going to act like this is not a big deal, but the problem is when you make people return to the office who don't have to be in the office and can do their work completely from home, it just destroying work-life balance. If people can do the job work for fully remotely and they want to be fully remote, allow them to be. It reduces greenhouse gases from less people driving on the street, from less people using public transportation, because public transportation can still increase greenhouse gases, just not as much as using your own vehicle, as many use that, and that can put a lot. And the thing is, it's more expensive for a lot of people to go to work than work from home. So people can argue it's more expensive when they work from home, utilities costs and etc. But in my case, whenever I work from home, when I was fully remote, it was definitely cheaper than going to the office. Especially when my headquarters, my main office is like over an hour away with those. I had to pay to still drive for over an hour. That's way more costly than staying home and pay a little bit more in utilities, like electricity. So it's not fair. And this is just another reason for them to probably outsource the job. So instead of hiring Americans and paying them more, they're going to outsource to India, China, etc. And those people are going to be able to work from home while they downsizing the companies. The irony, right? So this is not good. But this has been an update they've been doing in just 3 years. They've been doing more and more, forcing me to come back to the office. We're not talking about the baristas and people who have to be. We're talking about people who work in their white collar jobs and don't have to come to the office. But they force them to come as many times as possible. Eventually, it's going to be just fully to the office, no remote days at all, or work from home days. So Thursday, July 14, 2025, start date September 29, 2025. Location policy is hybrid, even though you're only working 1 day from home. Sure, call that hybrid. I think for hybrid to really be hybrid, you should be allowed to work from home every week, at least twice a week, and 3 times a week to the office. That's bare minimum how hybrid schedule should be. Preferably, you should be allowed to work from home 3 times a week or more, and be flexible. There should be a flexibility so that people can actually enjoy work and be able to work home more more often from home than going to the office and be happy that way. But that's not how employment works in the US. It's all about making profits, not about still making a profit, but keeping the workers happy. It's unfortunate. Laws have to be made and enforced properly for that to happen. But good luck doing that when you keep voting for regressive politicians into elected positions. So yeah, so for anyone who's a Starbucks worker, especially office one, keep that in mind. Fact check: fake sheriff Larry Lida applying for green card for Mexican rescue team video misspells name. No media report. So there was a viral video uh, of a real news report about Sheriff Larry saying he had applied for green card for Mexican rescue team that saved his family. That wasn't true. That's something that was also lying TikTok and also on YouTube. The footage in the viral video came from a press conference during which the phrase green card was not said, and the caption in the video spelled Cook County Sheriff Larry Lita's name wrong. There are no media reports about any of the events involving a daughter and two grandchildren mentioned in the video. So I just want to talk about that because keep in mind there's a lot of these fake news things going on and people claiming things that being real when it's not. And just so people be more aware, be careful with what you see online. It's not always real. This article is from July 13, 2025 on leadstory.com. You just giving a heads up. Be careful what you read online. Not everything you read is going to be real, obviously. But sometimes people don't know. But again, let me know in the comment section what you guys think of everything discussed today, especially the situation regarding the Department of Education being dismantled from inside out. If you agree with Trump doing that, or if you think that it's going against Congress, literally the law, because that was created by Congress, we can have a discussion about it. And obviously, the immigration news is really important. And if you're impacted by the RTO, return to office situation at Starbucks, we can talk about that too. And maybe let me know if you guys have a game plan for that, because that really sucks. And hopefully, you guys found a better job somewhere else. Even if that means you have to go to the office, maybe you double your salary to make up the difference. Because I can guarantee you they're not going to increase the salary. They just make you go to the office. You're going to pay more to go to the office. Some people have already moved further away, so or maybe completely not even in the same vicinity, meaning not in the same state, same city, etc. And it's just going to be impossible. They're going to have to quit or get fired. So let me know what you guys gonna do if you work in Starbucks about that situation. Like the video, like and subscribe, watching this TikTok, follow us on TikTok, and can support us on Patreon, guys. Have a good day.